Hi there everybody, welcome to the first episode of our brand new Meet the Meat here at the Falcon Steakhouse, where once a week on a Thursday we're going to talk to you about an item or a cut of meat that we use here at the Falcon Steakhouse. First week, there's only one boy we can introduce you to. So the first one, and is my steak of choice, is the T-bone steak. Now here at the Falcon Steakhouse, we cut our T-bone steaks into a 24-ounce cut. Now the reason that for those of you who have came in years ago, it used to be a 16-ounce. We just found that a little bit thicker, made it a little bit more juicy, a little bit more easier to cook, and we'll talk about cooking methods in a second. But at 24 ounces, this bad boy is my favorite steak here at the Falcon Steakhouse. So, T-bone steak. Why is it called a T-bone steak? Well, first of all, it's got a lovely T-boned shaped steak. Now, the T-bone is two cuts of steak. The smaller side is the fillet steak. So those who like a fillet steak, there's a fillet steak on the T-bone. And this long piece here is a sirloin steak. Now you get the best of both worlds. You get the tenderness of a fillet steak along with the flavor of the fat-on sirloin. Literally the best of both worlds if you've got the appetite. And so the T-bone steak, cooked on the bone, really suitable for fast cooking. We recommend that any of our steaks not to go past medium, but obviously it's your steak and you can have it cooked however you want. So it's taken from the short loin of the animal. The back ends are around here on the cow here. Now each animal has two T-bones each side of the spine. So the inner muscle is the fillet steak and the outer muscle is the sirloin steak. So the fillet steak, because cows don't tend to move that way, the inner muscle, the fillet steak, is always like a low use muscle. That's why it's so tender. And that's why rump steaks, where the cows are moving all the time, it's more of a worked muscle, it's a little bit firmer. So that's why the fillet steak is the most tender steak on especially our steak list. What's the difference between a porterhouse and a T-bone? Right, so a T-bone is like that long. You get two of those T-bones per animal. So the sirloin and the fillet go right the way across, and you chop it into steak cut slices, like a loaf of bread. So the thicker you cut it, the thicker the steak's gonna be. Now, when does a T-bone become a porterhouse? So that's always the question, what is a porterhouse and what is a T-bone? So the T-bone, the difference between a T-bone and a porterhouse, so this is what we call a T-bone steak, where the fillet steak is a nice, good size, and the sirloin is like a perfectly cut sirloin. Now, a porterhouse will have a bigger fillet steak, but the sirloin will have a line of gristle through it. Not an issue, it'll cook out, but you get a bigger fillet, but a worse sirloin, and you'll get more grains, and it'll be more sinew on a porterhouse. So a T-bone will be more tender, but it just depends what you like. So we don't tend to use the bottom end of the porterhouse, but we will use the first couple of inches of the porterhouse on our T-bones. And because the fillet steak actually cooks quicker than the sirloin, what we tend to do at the Falcon, as we're finishing the steak, we will put a spoon under the steak on top of the grill, just to raise the fillet up, just to allow the sirloin to cook a little bit more, to catch up with the cooking of the fillet. Yeah, my favorite steak, T-bone steak, a really cracking, brilliant all-round steak. We absolutely recommend it. Now, in regards to cooking, I recommend it medium rare. Just at medium rare, you're gonna caramelize this rim of fat a bit more and render out anything that needs a little bit more cooking. But obviously, it's your steak, you have it how you like. But the more you cook a steak, and this is like steaks in general, the more you cook a steak, the drier, the tougher, and smaller the steak's gonna be. So keep that in mind for those who say, oh, I have my steaks well done. Have your steak how you like it, but you can always cook a steak a little bit more. So if you wanted it medium and you didn't like it, it was a bit too red, we could put it back on the grill. But anyway, Meet the Meat, episode 1 done, the T-bone steak. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.